What happens when a hip-hop icon gets knocked out? Not on stage, but in his own living room, by his own son. Jim Jones just lost everything. His home, his respect, and possibly his career, all in one brutal night. And it all started when he allegedly crossed a line with Chrissy. What unfolded next was a full-blown family mutiny. And trust me, you're not ready for the chaos that followed. Jim John's own son has officially divorced him and thrown him out like a stranger. But wait, sources claim that Jim did the unthinkable by allegedly touching Chrissy. Let's just say that what happened next wasn't pretty. Chrissy didn't just sit there and take it though. She snapped before Jim could even react, process what struck his own flesh, and turned against him. Some rumors circulating in the streets claim that this wasn't just an impromptu altercation, but rather that it was planned. That's correct. There are rumors that Jim's son had been waiting for an excuse to throw his father out. But why was there a covert betrayal, a hidden agenda, or something else entirely? Hold on to your seats, because this isn't just another rapper drama. This is Jim Jones' rapper reality on steroids. There's something darker going on behind the scenes. And I promise you that by the time you hear what actually happened, you won't look at Jim Jones the same way again. TV personality and self-described Harlem legend has officially reached the bottom. No, we're not talking about album sales. Though let's face it, those aren't exactly soaring either. Instead, we're talking about a full-blown domestic catastrophe that happened in real life and happened more quickly than Jim's career. After 2010, to fully understand what happened, let's go back a little, because for those who need a refresher, Jim Jones and Chrissy Lampin have been together for more than 20 years, which in the rap industry is essentially a lifetime sentence. During that time, they have experienced everything from cheating to rumors, violent altercations, awkward reality TV proposals, and more. Despite this, they have managed to stay together despite the nuclear meltdown. Since it seemed like it was taking too long for them to get together, Chrissy even proposed to Jim first. When he did, he hesitated and fumbled harder than a SoundCloud rapper's first live performance. Fast forward a few years, and things were still not going well. Jim refused to commit. Chrissy became very irritated, and fans were just watching. Imagine this. It's late at night, Chrissy and Jim are in their home, because, yes, they still live together despite all of their problems. A little toxic, maybe a lot of drama, but nobody knows exactly what caused the argument. They are eating popcorn, waiting for the inevitable disaster. And boy did that disaster finally arrive the night everything went to hell. Christy was going off, and rightfully so. She spent years writing for this man, staying by his side even when he acted like he didn't know how to spell loyalty. And Jim instead of apologizing. Our sources, by which we mean people on the internet who love to speculate, had something to do with money cheating and Jim's inability to act like a grown man, explaining, or, acting like an adult. He lost it and didn't just storm out and slam the door. No, Jim went too far and slapped Chrissy. Yes, you heard correctly, Jim Jones, the same man who claims to be all about love and respect, touched Chrissy in front of witnesses in his own home. And guess who was there? His son saw everything when Jim Jones realized he had made a mistake. If Jim had assumed he could simply leave after that, he was completely mistaken, because the room fell silent as soon as his hand touched Chrissy's face. Even the furniture asked, "Bro, what did you just do?" His son, who, let's face it, has probably had enough of his father's antics over the years, was not playing around. He squared up, looked his father in the eye, and said, "No, you're not going to do this." Jim barely had time to react before his own flesh and stepped in. Then suddenly, Jim Jones just caught hands. The first punch was delivered by his own son. Despite Jim's bravado, he was unprepared for this level of instant karma. His son, who is younger, faster, and likely attends the gym more frequently than his father, gave Jim a reality check so forcefully that he likely began to see the credits roll on his own life. At one point, thrown furniture or punches knocked Jim over. Chrissy had to literally back off because things got so crazy. And in the midst of it all, Jim finally realized that he had messed up the shocking twist that Jim Jones was expelled from his own home. But wait, because it gets worse for Jim. After being completely destroyed by his own son, he tried to act as if nothing had happened. To chill, he said, wiping his own lip. Was not finished because, after all the bullshit and disrespect, there was only one thing left to do. You had to leave. That's correct. Jim Jones, the rapper and reality TV star, was evicted from his own home. His son literally pointed to the door and said, "You're not welcome here." Chrissy simply crossed the street without saying anything. Her arms are knotted, and that was at Jim, who was still in shock over everything that had just transpired. He had no choice but to gather his belongings and leave, and he was gone in an instant. However, the question is, where did he go, and how did the internet respond to this complete scandal? Oh, believe me, you guys aren't prepared for the fallout. Jim Jones was expelled from his own home by his own son after slapping Chrissy was a crazy, unexpected, and totally self-inflicted disaster. But if you thought the drama was over, it was only getting started. Because in 2025, being exposed in your own home is one thing, but being exposed online is worse. When I say that social media did not hold back, I mean that they attacked Jim as if he were the Jim Jones, the final boss of poor choices, lost to the internet in a humiliating knockout. As soon as the news broke, Twitter or X, whatever we're calling it now, exploded. Jim Jones cancel, and the memes were vicious. One user posted a side-by-side of Jim, before and after his son knocked him out, captioning it, "And Jim Jones believed he was dire pit tough, until the jokes didn't end there." After his son dipped him out of the house, someone went even further and posted a photoshopped picture of Jim Jones walking down the street with his bags packed, and the caption, "Live footage of Jim Jones looking for a new place to stay." Someone also uncovered old romantic relationships and hip-hop videos of Chrissy driving because Chrissy was immature and didn't want to commit. The worst of all was when someone changed Jim's Wikipedia page under personal life to read former rapper and current couch surfing enthusiast. If that wasn't enough, they changed his occupation to unemployed. The disrespect was absurd, but it didn't stop. Chrissy has been trying to leave this man for 20 years, and even his own son is over him. The internet turns into full-fledged investigators when something this bizarre occurs. And believe me when I say that they began looking into everything. Jim's past is coming back to haunt him. If there's one thing about social media, it's that people have receipts. As soon as Jim was exposed for touching Chrissy, people began looking up every single problematic thing he had ever done. Then, they targeted his music career. One viral tweet said, "Jim Jones really out here ruining his personal life like he didn't already ruin his rap career." They used clips from old Love and Hip Hop episodes that showed Jim dismissing Chrissy's worries, making jokes about her, and treating her like an afterthought. And another one, imagine getting kicked out by your son. Your last hit was brutal in 2006, but things took a bad turn when people started demanding actual consequences from Fallout brands and businesses, and they stopped merely making jokes and threats. This is where Jim's situation went from Even though Jim is no longer at the top of the charts, he still had business partnerships and brand endorsements that kept him afloat. However, once the internet turned against him, all of those deals quickly vanished, and his clothing brand, Vamp Life, issued a vague but very telling statement. We do not condone violence or abuse of any kind. Our relationship with Jim Jones Translation will be re-evaluated with immediate effect. After they left, things worsened. One of his largest partnerships, Investment, a cannabis brand, announced that they were taking his name off of their products. Due to recent events, we are making the necessary adjustments to our brand image. Yes, that's corporate speak, for we don't want a spokesperson issued a brief statement stating, due to unforeseen circumstances, Jim Jones will no longer be part of our lineup. Unexpected. Oh no, this was very foreseen. The man was kicked out of his spot at the Final Blow Gym, which was supposed to perform at a major hip-hop festival later this year. Own house on camera. At this point, Jim's career wasn't just struggling, it was on life support. Jim himself was nowhere to be seen during all of this. Where are the Jim Jones? The thing is, when rappers get involved in scandals, they typically either fight back by going on the offensive, posting angry posts, threatening lawsuits, and attempting to clear their name, or they Jim Jones chose option 2 after being evicted from his own home. He was utterly silent. No Instagram posts, tweets, interviews, or anything else. And this raised the big question, where the hell did Jim Jones go? Some sources, also known as internet detectives with too much free time, claimed he was staying. With a one user wrote, Jim Jones really went from die-tet to manset. Another said, Jim Jones called his mum like, can I sleep on the couch? And she hit him with Ask Chrissy. Friends in New Jersey speculated that he returned to his mother's house. Let's just say, if that's true, the internet had a field day. After days of speculation, Chrissy finally broke her silence. She didn't do a dramatic interview or write a lengthy Instagram post. Instead, she just went on Instagram, poured herself a glass of wine, and said, I told you all. At this point, Jim was being roasted from every angle, and the people closest to him were speaking out while he was in hiding. The internet genuinely adored it. There were no tears or lengthy explanations, just pure, unbothered energy. One fan wrote, Chrissy has been trying to warn us about Jim for years. We should have listened. Another said, Chrissy looks happier than ever while Jim is out here homeless. Karma is real. Finally, Jim's son. He wasn't saying much either, but he did update his Instagram story with a single post that read, had to handle business, no regrets, no apologies, just straight up, I did what I had to do. This leads us to the crucial question of what Jim Jones's future holds. As he is currently unemployed, homeless, and most likely cancelled by the internet, have a plan. Is he able to fix this? Or is this the official end of Jim Jones's story? Trust me, this isn't the end yet. Jim Jones had reached his lowest point. His son had ejected him. Chrissy was living her best life. The internet had dragged him for dirt. His business deals had fallen through. His festival bookings had been cancelled. And worst of all, he was utterly silent. No PR statements, no damage control. But let's examine how Jim Jones's attempt at redemption turned into an even bigger disaster. Jim's first move was the weakest apology ever. After 2 weeks of total silence, Jim finally made an appearance. What did he do? He posted a notes app. One thing we know about celebrities who are exposed is that they always try to make a comeback. Some succeed, but Jim Jones failed miserably. He posted a blurry screenshot of some text with a black background with the caption, "We all make mistakes." I'm taking time to reflect and grow. Appreciate you reflect and grow, sir. You got kicked out of your own house. One user said, Jim wrote this in the McDonald's parking lot on free Wi-Fi. It was the quintessential lazy celebrity move. Another wrote, not the Notes app, apology with no mention of Chrissy. Or some boy sit down and sit down, he did, because nobody accepted his apology. Chrissy didn't respond. His son ignored him and his haters. Oh, they went and some people even started a fake petition titled Keep Jim Jones Out the House 2024. Yes, a whole petition. And guess what? It got 50,000 signatures. This was terrible, but Jim wasn't prepared to let the YouTube catastrophe go. Jim tries to explain his side. After apologizing to Flock, Jim decided to take charge of the story. He said he was doing an exclusive interview on YouTube. And let me tell you, it was a complete bust. Jim sat down, looking worn out, and attempted to explain what happened. People had it all twisted. I made a mistake, but social media blew it out of proportion. You were evicted from your own home, beaten by your son, and lost half of your career in 2 days. One user wrote in the cruel comments section, this man is trying to gaslight the entire internet. I love my family. Another said, you didn't, bro. You were caught when you made a mistake. The worst of them was when someone said, Jim thought he could fix things, but he got more excuses than hit songs at this point. The interview ended with Ray showing more dislikes than likes, and instead of rebuilding his reputation, he made it worse. The Jim Jones has a podcast meltdown. He tries again after the YouTube fiasco, but instead of repairing his image, he snaps when the host asks him a straightforward question. Jim, do you regret how you treated Christy all these years? Jim loses it. Y'all always want to bring up the past. I ain't do anything that bad people act. The longer he spoke, the worse it got. At one point, he even exclaimed, y'all acting like I'm some villain. His voice was unsteady, and it was obvious that he was upset. That's not a defense, sir. It's an admission of